I have a challenge for you. What if you could change your life in just 3 days? Sounds impossible? Not if you understand how your brain actually works. Your brain is wired by repetition, past thoughts, old fears, automatic responses. But thanks to neuroplasticity, those wires aren't fixed. You can change them. And the process begins to work in just a few days. What follows isn't motivation fluff or pop psych hacks. It's a simple, science-backed method that can start reprogramming your brain in just 3 days. I know, because it changed everything for me. Let's begin. You might have noticed how certain thoughts keep returning, like a song stuck in your head. What you may not realize is your brain processes around 60,000 thoughts every day, and 90% of them are identical to what you thought yesterday. This isn't just repetition, it's reinforcement. Each time a familiar thought comes up, it carves a deeper groove into your neural pathways, making it easier for your mind to follow that same path again. When your thoughts are negative, phrases like, "I'm not good enough," or "I always mess things up," your body responds as if these statements were real. Stress hormones like cortisol flood your system, weakening your immune function and draining your energy. Your brain doesn't distinguish between a real threat and a repeated worry. If you keep telling yourself something isn't possible, your biology adjusts to match that belief. You feel stuck because your nervous system has learned to expect limitation. These repeated negative thoughts do more than just influence your mood. They shape what you notice in the world. If you believe you're unworthy of good things, you'll unconsciously dismiss opportunities that contradict that belief. Your brain filters reality to match what it already knows, which is why people often stay in cycles of frustration. The thoughts become self-fulfilling predictions. The physical impact goes deeper than most realize. Chronic stress from negative self-talk doesn't just leave you feeling tired, it can make you more susceptible to illness over time. When cortisol levels remain high, your body stays in a state of alert, diverting energy away from processes like digestion and immune response. The phrase, "I can't handle this," isn't just words. It's a signal that triggers a cascade of biochemical reactions designed for survival, not thriving. You might wonder why your brain defaults to negativity. It's not working against you. It's trying to protect you. The mind prefers familiar patterns, even painful ones, because they feel predictable. Saying, "I'm not smart enough," might have once shielded you from the risk of failure, but now it just keeps you from growing. The good news is, this pattern isn't permanent. Your brain can learn new ways of thinking, and it doesn't take years to start. Notice how certain phrases like, "relationships always end badly for me," or "I can't afford happiness," feel automatic. Those aren't truths. They're reinforced habits. Every time you repeat them, you teach your nervous system to expect that version of reality. But this also means you can teach it something new. The first step is recognizing these thoughts as what they are: old recordings, not facts. You're not powerless against these patterns. The very science that explains why these loops form also shows how to break them. With consistent redirection, you can weaken the old pathways and build new ones. It starts with understanding that your current thoughts didn't appear overnight. They were practiced, and what's been practiced can be changed. The shift begins when you realize your mind has been on autopilot, replaying the same scripts. Now that you know why, we can talk about how to rewrite them. And the most surprising part, it takes less time than you think. For years, scientists believed the brain you were born with was the brain you had for life. We know now that's not true. Neuroplasticity means your brain constantly reshapes itself based on what you focus on. Every thought you have either strengthens or weakens neural pathways. This isn't just theory. When you choose to say, "I'm excited," instead of "I'm tired," you trigger different chemical reactions in your body. Your brain literally starts working differently in that moment. What makes these changes stick is emotion. When a thought carries strong feeling, whether positive or negative, it etches deeper into your neural network. That's why athletes visualize their routines so intensely. The brain doesn't distinguish between physically performing an action and vividly imagining it. The same neurons fire either way. This is why someone can mentally rehearse a piano piece and show measurable improvement without touching the keys. Your mental practice changes your brain's physical structure. This process goes deeper than simple positive thinking. When you combine clear statements with genuine emotion, you're not just convincing yourself of something new, you're reconstructing your neural pathways. Scientists can measure this change as coherence between your heart and brain rhythms. In this state, your body isn't just hearing words, it's aligning with them. The phrase, "I am capable," stops being an affirmation and starts becoming your biology when you feel it deeply. This explains why negative self-talk has such a lasting impact. The brain strengthens what it repeats. If you often think nothing ever works out, those neural connections grow thicker, making the thought come more easily next time. But here's what most people miss. This works both ways. The moment you start sincerely replacing "I can't" with "I'll figure it out," you begin physically altering your brain to support that new belief. The change isn't instant, but the process starts immediately. Stress hormones like cortisol weaken when you redirect your focus. As the internal chemistry shifts, your immune system gets stronger. Your cells start functioning differently because they're no longer flooded with fight or flight signals. Every word you say to yourself either moves you toward optimal cellular function or away from it. This isn't metaphorical, it's measurable. Blood tests show reduced inflammation markers in people who consistently practice positive self-talk. Your brain believes what you tell it most often, especially when those statements come with emotion. This is why consistent repetition matters. Neural pathways are like trails in a forest. The more they're used, the clearer they become. Right now, your mind defaults to familiar thoughts because those paths are well worn, but you can create new ones. The resistance you might feel at first isn't failure. It's your brain encountering an unfamiliar route. With daily practice, the new path becomes the easier choice. This isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything's perfect. It's about consciously choosing which thoughts get your attention and energy. When you grasp that your focus physically alters your brain, you realize every moment is a chance to reshape yourself. The next step is putting this into practice, and doing it in just 3 days is simpler than you think. Day 1, the morning ritual. The first 20 minutes after waking give you a special window to shape your day. Your brain is most open to new programming during this time because it hasn't yet locked into familiar thought patterns. Before you check your phone or hear the news, you have a clean slate to work with. This is when you can influence your mindset before outside distractions take over. Start by placing your hand on your heart and speaking out loud. Say simple, direct phrases like, "I am capable," or "Today brings new opportunities." The physical touch helps create heart-brain coherence, a state where your emotions and thoughts align. When your heart rhythm becomes steady and ordered, it sends signals to your brain that everything is okay. This reduces stress hormones like cortisol and replaces them with a calm, focused energy. What you say matters, but how you say it matters just as much. Speak with intention, like you mean every word. Your brain responds to conviction. If you say, "I'm excited about this day," you activate different neural pathways than if you default to, "I'm tired." The words aren't just sounds, they trigger real changes in your brain chemistry. Your cells start responding to this new signal, shifting your entire energy field. Avoid checking your phone during this window. Emails, social media, or news alerts flood your brain with information before you've had a chance to set your own tone. These inputs activate stress responses or distraction, pulling you back into old patterns. Your morning ritual works best when you protect those first 20 minutes. Give yourself time to establish a new baseline before engaging with the outside world. This practice isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing where to direct your focus. When you start the day with deliberate thoughts, you train your brain to look for opportunities instead of obstacles. Olympic athletes use similar techniques, visualizing success to improve performance. Your mental rehearsal works the same way. The more vividly you imagine a positive outcome, the more your brain accepts it as possible. You might feel resistance at first. If negative thoughts creep in, acknowledge them without judgment, then return to your intentional phrases. This isn't about fighting your mind, it's about gently guiding it. The resistance is just old pathways trying to reassert themselves. With consistency, the new thoughts will feel more natural. By the end of this practice, your body and mind sync up. Your heart rhythm steadies, your breathing slows, and your brain starts filtering the world differently. You'll notice small shifts. Maybe you feel lighter or a problem seems less overwhelming. These are signs the reprogramming is working. The changes build over time, but they start the moment you open your eyes and choose your words with care. This morning ritual sets the tone for everything that follows. When your brain starts the day with clarity, it's easier to stay aligned with that energy. The rest of the day becomes about reinforcing what you've already begun. Now let's talk about how to keep this momentum going in the afternoon. Between 2 and 4 p.m., your brain naturally loses energy. That afternoon slump isn't just tiredness. This dip makes it easier for old negative thoughts to resurface. When your mental energy is low, your brain defaults to familiar patterns because they require less effort. This is the exact moment to reinforce the positive intentions you set in the morning. If you don't actively intervene during this window, you risk undoing the morning's progress. That's why this afternoon practice matters just as much as how you start your day. Reconnect with your morning declarations, the same phrases you used right after waking. Find a quiet space, even if it's just for 5 minutes. A parked car, an empty office, or even a bathroom stall works. Say your affirmations out loud again, this time with movement. Stand up, stretch, or take a short walk. The physical activity shifts your body's state, making it harder for old stress responses to take over. Pairing movement with intentional words creates a stronger neural imprint than words alone. Walking while repeating "I choose peace" does more than just calm your mind. It rewires your nervous system to associate movement with confidence. The afternoon reinforcement isn't about willpower, it's about timing. Your brain is more open to change during this dip because its usual defenses are lowered. Use that openness to your advantage. If negative thoughts appear, notice them without resistance. Say, "That's an old recording," and return to your chosen phrases. Fighting thoughts gives them energy. Observing them weakens their hold. Keep your tone firm but gentle, like redirecting a child. No frustration, just consistency. Walking outdoors amplifies the effect. Natural light boosts serotonin, counteracting the afternoon energy drop. If you can't go outside, even swaying gently in place helps. The key is linking motion with your words. When you move, your brain releases neurochemicals that enhance learning. This makes the new thought patterns stick faster. Your body remembers what you teach it in motion. Think of how athletes train muscles through repetition. You're doing the same thing for your mindset. Pay attention to moments when old scripts sneak in. Maybe a coworker's comment triggers "I'm not good enough," or a small mistake brings back "I always mess up." These are the critical junctures. Pause, take 3 deep breaths, and restate your morning affirmation. The quicker you catch and redirect, the weaker the old pathway becomes. Every time you choose a new response, you dilute the power of the old one. This practice doesn't require hours, just 5 focused minutes. Stop what you're doing, stand tall, and reconnect with your core intention. Speak slowly, feeling each word. If "I am capable" felt forced in the morning, notice how it lands differently now. The more sensory detail you add, like the feel of your feet on the ground or sunlight on your skin, the more real it becomes to your nervous system. Your brain updates its expectations based on these small, repeated experiences. By the end of this session, you'll notice subtle shifts. Maybe tension in your shoulders eases or your breathing deepens. These bodily changes signal that your brain is accepting the new messages. The afternoon reinforcement isn't about perfection. It's about intercepting autopilot before it takes over. Each time you do this, you strengthen the preference for positive patterns until they become the new default. Consistency now makes tomorrow's practice easier. This simple habit bridges your morning mindset to the evening. Without it, the day's stresses can unravel your progress. With it, you build momentum. The evening session will lock in these changes. But first, let's talk about how to close the day with intention. The hours between 7 and 9 p.m. are when your brain naturally reviews the day's events. This is your chance to guide that process. Find a quiet space and place your hand on your heart, just like you did in the morning. Take a few deep breaths to settle your mind. Then review the day's wins, no matter how small they seem. Maybe you caught yourself before reacting negatively to something, or perhaps you remembered to take a deep breath when stressed. These moments matter. Say out loud, "I'm thankful for today's progress." The words help your brain recognize growth it might otherwise overlook. Gratitude changes how your brain stores memories. When you focus on what went well, you strengthen neural pathways associated with positivity. This isn't about ignoring challenges, it's about balancing your perspective. Your subconscious absorbs everything you feed it before sleep. If you dwell on problems, your brain will work on those overnight. If you focus on progress, it will build on that instead. The difference shapes how you wake up tomorrow. After reviewing the day, shift to anticipation. Say something like, "Tomorrow brings new opportunities." Keep it simple and believable. Your brain resists statements that feel too far from your current reality. The goal isn't to convince yourself of something unrealistic, it's to open the door to possibility. When you pair these words with genuine feeling, even if slight, your nervous system starts preparing for that version of tomorrow. Avoid negative inputs during this window. Stressful conversations, alarming news, or violent TV shows activate your threat response. Your brain doesn't filter these out before sleep, it processes them deeply. This doesn't mean avoiding reality, it means protecting your mental space during this sensitive period. Just as you wouldn't eat junk food before bed, don't feed your mind junk either. The last hour before sleep should be calm and intentional. If negative thoughts arise, acknowledge them without resistance. Say, "That's not helpful right now," and return to your gratitude or anticipation statements. Fighting thoughts gives them energy. Observing them neutrally weakens their hold. This practice isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. Even a few minutes of focused reflection makes a difference. Physical relaxation enhances the effect. Try gentle stretches or progressive muscle relaxation while repeating your phrases. Tension in your body reinforces stress pathways in your brain. Releasing that tension signals safety, making it easier for new thoughts to take root. Pay attention to your jaw, shoulders, and hands. These areas often hold unnoticed stress. Notice how your body responds during this practice. You might feel your breathing deepen or your heart rate slow. These physical shifts indicate your nervous system is aligning with your words. The more you practice, the stronger this connection becomes. Over time, your evening reflection will feel less like an exercise and more like a natural transition. This routine sets the stage for sleep-based consolidation. While you rest, your brain reinforces the day's new pathways. The thoughts and feelings you focus on before bed influence this process. By ending the day with intention, you wake up with a clearer mind. Tomorrow's practice will build on today's foundation, but first, let's talk about maintaining momentum through days 2 and 3. By day 2, you might notice your body pushing back against these new patterns. This resistance isn't failure, it's proof the process is working. Your nervous system has grown accustomed to certain chemical states, often tied to stress or self-doubt, and it reacts when you introduce something different. The discomfort you feel is like muscle soreness after a workout. It means old pathways are breaking down to make room for new ones. This phase is temporary, but it's also when your commitment matters most. Every time you choose positive self-talk despite the resistance, you're building stronger neural connections. When negative thoughts surface on day 2, catch them faster. Replace phrases like, "This is too hard" with, "I'm growing stronger." The shift doesn't need to feel convincing at first. What matters is the repetition. Your brain learns through consistent redirection, not instantaneous perfection. Think of it like training a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Even if you slip back into old patterns occasionally, each time you correct course, you weaken the old response. The resistance will pass, but only if you keep showing up. By day 3, you'll start noticing changes in how quickly you catch negative self-talk. What felt forced on day 1 begins to flow more naturally. This is your brain adapting. The new pathways are forming and the old ones are losing their grip. You might still feel moments of discomfort, but they'll be shorter and less intense. The key is to stay consistent during this transition. Your brain is reorganizing itself, and every positive statement reinforces that process. The timeline for this shift isn't arbitrary. It's based on how neuroplasticity works, your brain's ability to rewire itself based on experience. Each thought you focus on strengthens specific neural connections. When you introduce new self-talk, your brain starts building pathways to support it. The more you practice, especially with emotional intensity, the faster those pathways solidify. Days 2 and 3 are when this transformation becomes visible. You're not just thinking differently, you're changing your brain's structure. This phase is like breaking an addiction, but to old thought patterns. Your mind will try to revert to what's familiar because those pathways are well worn. The pull might feel strong, but it's a sign the old patterns are losing power. Every time you resist and choose a new response, you're creating lasting change. The discomfort is temporary, but the rewiring is permanent. Motivation comes from recognizing progress, no matter how small. Maybe you catch negative thoughts faster, or positive phrases feel more natural. These shifts mean your brain is adapting. The morning, afternoon, and evening rituals you've practiced are portals of opportunity, times when your brain is most receptive to new programming. Use them fully, even when it feels difficult. Remember, the resistance is part of the process. By the end of day 3, the new self-talk starts feeling automatic. You've spent 3 days building a foundation, and now your brain begins to default to these healthier patterns. This doesn't mean the work is done. It means the hardest part is over. The neural pathways you've strengthened will keep growing with continued practice. What felt like effort now becomes second nature. The changes you'll see aren't just mental. Your body responds differently too. Stress hormones decrease, and your nervous system calms. You might notice better sleep, improved focus, or a brighter mood. These shifts happen because your cells are receiving new signals. Your biology aligns with your thoughts, and the effects ripple outward. You're not just changing your mind, you're changing how your entire system functions. The final step is seeing how these shifts manifest in your daily life. The new patterns you've built will start shaping your experiences in ways you might not expect. Relationships, opportunities, and even challenges will feel different because you're approaching them with a rewired brain. The work you've done prepares you for what comes next. The way you speak to yourself changes everything. When your inner dialogue shifts, you'll notice people responding differently to you. Opportunities you once overlooked start appearing because your mind is tuned to see them. Your health improves too. Less stress, better sleep, a stronger immune system. This isn't just about thinking differently, it's about living differently. Start today, even if it feels small. Your future self will recognize this as the moment everything changed. 3 days of conscious effort can alter patterns that held you back for years. You're not just changing your thoughts, you're reshaping your entire life. The best part, it only gets easier from here. If this resonated with you, give it a like, share it with someone who needs it, and hit subscribe for more tools to help you take your power back, one thought at a time. And if you're ready to begin, drop a comment below that says, I start today. Not just for me, for you. Make it real. Declare it. That's how rewiring begins. The change starts the moment you decide it does. You've got this.